We're here live outside the Metropolitan Correction Center here in Lower Manhattan. The New York Post reporting this morning that Jeffrey Epstein, the 66-year-old finance multimillionaire, was found on the floor of his jail cell this morning, nearly unconscious, or late last night, I should say, nearly unconscious with wounds to his neck. He has been taken to a nearby hospital here in Lower Manhattan somewhere, and he is reportedly on suicide watch. What we don't know at this point is, was this really a suicide attempt? There is speculation going around about what this could be. It could have been a suicide attempt. It could have been an attack by another inmate, perhaps. Maybe just a ploy to get out of this jail, which we understand is just a horrible conditions, a horrible place to have to stay, especially compared to the lifestyle that Jeffrey Epstein was living up until just a couple of months ago.
There were two important firsts from Iran's president during this week's cabinet meeting. Since seizing the British-flagged oil tanker Stena Impero last Friday, Hassan Rouhani is the first Iranian official apparently suggesting an exchange for an Iranian oil tanker. The Grace 1 was impounded by Britain's Royal Marines 3 weeks ago. If British government leaders were to undo what Rouhani said were wrong actions in Gibraltar, they'd get a proportionate response from Iran. Does this signal a way for both countries to get their ships back? Perhaps not. Iran maintains its seizure was internationally legal because the British vessel violated maritime regulations. Britain denies that.
The Strait of Hormuz is a very important location. It's neither a place for joking nor a place for a country to violate maritime rules. So the IRGC bravely seized this violating British tanker by force as it refused to take orders and follow regulations. We reiterate that we won't let anyone create disorder in this region. What has been done so far has been proportionate and professional.
Now, according to South Korea's military, North Korea has fired what appear to be two short-range missiles into the sea to the east of the Korean peninsula. It's reported that they were fired about 20 minutes apart from a base near the port of Wonsan and flew more than 400 kilometres, which is nearly 250 miles. Well, let's get the latest from our correspondent Laura Bicker, who is in the South Korean capital, Seoul. What more can you tell us about these missiles, Laura?
Within the last hour, South Korean experts appear to be saying that at least one of these short-range missiles was a new type of weapon for North Korea. It flew over 690 kilometres and it appears to be a new design. So that's the latest from the South Korean military. One of them, the missiles, as you mentioned, flew just over 400 kilometres. It's thought to be similar to the type of short-range missiles that North Korea tested in May.
South Korea and Russia held talks today over Tuesday's incident in which a Russian plane apparently violated South Korean airspace, prompting warning shots from the South Korean Air Force. In today's talks, South Korea handed over proof of the violation, which the Russian side said it will immediately send to Moscow's defense ministry. Kan Young-woo reports.
South Korea's Ministry of National Defense gave the evidence of a Russian warplane's intrusion into Korean airspace to the Russian military officials on Thursday. Holding working-level talks with the Russian military attaché at Seoul's defense ministry earlier in the day, the South Korean side explained in detail the evidence that confirms the Russian warplane's violation of Korean airspace. The defense ministry added that the Russian side said it will promptly pass on the information to Moscow's defense ministry for the ongoing investigation into the incident.
A victory for the people, and this was the moment they found out. After 2 weeks of street protests, it was near midnight when Puerto Rico's governor, Ricardo Rosselló, said he would finally step down.
Despite having a mandate from the people who elected me democratically, today I feel that continuing in this position presents insurmountable difficulties. Having heard the complaints, spoken to my family, thought of my children, and in prayers, I've taken the following decision. I announce to you today that I'll be resigning as governor, effective Friday, 2nd of August.
Now to a pretty scary incident at Yellowstone National Park. It was caught on camera. A young girl now recovering after being attacked by a bison. Eva Pilgrim here with the story. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, guys. This little girl and her family were doing what so many families do during the summer, visiting Yellowstone National Park. They were part of a bigger group that had been standing near that bison for some 20 minutes with no issue, when out of nowhere, the bison came running.
Terrifying moments for a group visiting Yellowstone National Park. A bison just feet away, charging its target, a 9-year-old little girl. The 9-year-old from Odessa, Florida, was part of a group of about 50 people who were visiting the Old Faithful Geyser area Monday afternoon. You can see in this video the group walking on a nearby road. The bison only 5 to 10 feet away. All of a sudden, you see it move, running toward the group, tossing the little girl into the air.
Hemos habilitado la capilla para albergar a algunos pacientitos con dengue. Igual, como les he informado, hemos tenido que suspender las cirugías electivas, puesto de que los pacientes con dengue los estamos albergando en el área de lo que es cirugía.
Es preocupante porque hoy se recibieron el total de pacientes ingresados, igual con la unidad de dengue, 44 pacientes ingresados.
India is celebrating the successful launch of its unmanned spacecraft, the Chandrayaan-2. And it's not just the scientists that are celebrating. If the mission succeeds, India will become the 4th country to have had a successful landing on the moon. So far, it has only been the US, Russia, and China that have had successful lunar landings. Questions of pride are at stake for India as this launch is tied up with its perception in the world. People around the country are cheering signs that India is now ready to compete internationally when it comes to space. For decades, Indian rocket launches meant bringing low-cost satellites into the space for foreign countries.
Beji Caid Essebsi came to power in December 2014 after winning the first free presidential election. His career began 40 years earlier and took him through various posts in defence, security and foreign affairs. He briefly served as interim prime minister in 2011. Tunisia was the first to experience a wave of protests that became known as the Arab Spring in 2010. The following year, they led to the ousting of longtime President Zain Abidine Ben Ali. And in the first free elections 3 years later, Essebsi, at the head of a newly created party, won a runoff that polarised voters. He was often accused of giving in to many of the demands of the Islamist opposition, led by the Ennahda party. His opponents also accused him of trying to instill a return to Ben Ali-style strongman politics.